with your host, Dwann B. Intelligent-ish talk, intelligent shit talk, where we balance the profound with the profane. Political satire, celebrity and expert guests, information and entertainment, conversation and solutions. Leave your feelings at the door.
Thank y'all for joining us. We already have 3 thumbs down. That must mean it must have been some white folks coming up in here mad in the motherfucker. I love it, I love it, I love it. Remember what I said last week. Never be afraid to offend. Never, never, never be afraid to offend. I said that again yesterday. Because who are you offending really when you stand up for yourself? When you tell the truth and they're offended? You think you should give a shit about how they feel? Black folks have been we get forced to deal with the with the worst elements in our society every day. We still be cool. Shit. You talk about the history of white folks violence and the presence of white folks violence. Oh, the agony, the pain. Oh God, no. No. Don't do that. Equality, equality. That's what happens when you call it they bullshit. But I don't give a shit. What's up, everybody? What's up, Lady B? What's up, Stars? What's up, John Clark, Cody Berry? Gerard, thank y'all for joining. Thank y'all for joining the chat room. What's up, BB Gaines? Yes. The Craig factor's in here too. That's what's up. I'm doing this report today because it's often talked about when we talk about the gangs in LA and the gang culture of LA, like always, a black face is put on it. And a lot of that, you know, we have to take some blame for. Because niggas will run with any old goddamn label you give them. You remember back in the 90s when you had all those black rappers with Italian mafia names? It's like we labeled the music message music, but when the dominant society relabeled it gangster rap, we just said, okay. Like a bunch of fucking idiots. Then when the gang culture took over Southern California in the 80s, you listen to it now, black folks who ain't have a damn thing to do with gangs growing up be the first ones talking about they come from the streets. As if every black person don't come from the streets in some sort of way. And if you don't come from the streets, you one generation removed from the streets. It's like we've embraced this bullshit ass thing that we the thugs. And truth be told, the black gangs are the least organized. They make the most noise, but they're the least organized. And they're not that good at being gangsters. Let's just tell the truth. They're not. You know, LA gangs don't have judges on the payroll. You know, LA gangs, I remember back in the 80s, they was making all that money. They don't have teams of lawyers that are willing to keep them out, do whatever it takes. We ain't that good at thugging. Let's just tell the truth. Let's just tell the truth. We're not. We just talk a lot of shit and kill each other, but don't do a goddamn thing when it comes to being the real gangsters. LA drug dealers and gang culture is at the will of other gangs, other races. They're at the will of the Chinese when it comes to the fentanyl and all that shit. They're at the will of the Mexicans when it comes to the weed. They're at the will of the white folks when it comes to cocaine and shit. Because the white folks in regular society stack the deck the same way they do in gang society. They at the top, and they have buffer class gangs below them. You know what I mean? Like in LA, black gangs, you basically just have the Bloods and the Crips. Pyrus. The Asians have the Asian boys, the Fullerton boys, Kung Pai, Menace of Destruction, and the Santanas. The Chinese got a lot of gangs out here. The 4Cs, the United Bamboo Gang, Huaqing, and White Dragon. Whites have street gangs out here right now. Armenian Power, Aryan Brotherhood, Hells Angels, and I'm getting into the Hells Angels in a little bit. Nazi Lowriders. Nazi Lowriders are the ones that control everything going on in the prison system. And Public Enemy number 1. And we can't even name all the goddamn Mexican gangs that are out here. But it's like anything else. The white gangs control what's going on at the top. And they allow the Asian, the Mexican, the Chinese, all these different other groups to be a little more organized. Partially because those other groups have their gang ties goes back to their home countries, which date back dozens, scores of years, sometimes over 100 when you're dealing with these Chinese gangs. They have whole worldwide networks that can get illegal resources here from other countries. But we the ones running around here talking about I'm a thug. Looking like a bunch of damn fools. Hey, somebody get this person in the chat room out of here who grew up, who still sucks his mama's titties. Get this nigga out the chat room, whoever that is. We got somebody who grew up being raised like a little bitch in the chat room. Get him up out of here, moderators. I don't like hoes in my chat room. Top of the AMD Spears. But yeah, we got somebody in the chat room who grew up jacking off to Freddie Jackson videos. In the chat room mad at what I'm talking about. But it's okay. It is okay. Thank y'all moderators for doing what the hell y'all good at and what the hell y'all do. But yeah, we here. We don't understand that we are the least gangster people here in the United States of America. Yet we still have taken on the moniker and the identity as the gangsters. Always looking hard. Always looking tough. Niggas need to stop this shit. Cause here in LA, it is gangster land. Well, what we have to realize is our gang style came as a reaction to the gang environment we were dumped in. We're not proactive gangsters. We're reactionary gangsters. Reactionary. And it ain't nothing hard about being reactive. I'm gonna start off with a little bit of history of these gangs in LA. Then we're gonna move it up to today and these surfer gangs that we see. One, let me change this picture. Hold on. Going back to the early days of LA, black gangs were a response to initially this gang and others like it, the Spook Hunters. Spook Hunters were white boys who lived in Compton, Southgate, who would come over to South Central and terrorize black folks. Couldn't be out after a certain time or they terrorize us. There are other white gangs that were here. But our Slaussons and all those gangs were born as a reaction to this behavior. Policing the community, keeping the community safe. Go watch the documentary Bastards of the Party for greater details on that. I'm just giving you surface level shit on this part. And go watch the movie Bastards of the Party for complete details. So our gangs were created to protect our community from these cats. I remember when I was a kid, I asked my grandmother why did she call white people honkies. She said because, yeah, back in the day when they would come around the black neighborhoods, they would always be honking, trying to get us to, you know, is two things gonna happen. Either they was honking in the red light district or they were honking to get you to come down, come outside, then they kidnap you, beat you, or rape you, do all kind of stuff, and the police wouldn't do nothing about it. That was LA in the 1940s and 50s. So you had these gangs like this running around LA. And it morphed when these people moved out. I want to bring your attention. I know I've talked about these people before on Craig Facts. And a little bit here on this show. But there is a gang out here that's been around for a long time. And they're called the Lunada Bay Boys. They're a surfer gang up in the Palos Verdes area. They've been around for over 60 years. They came to my attention because there's a new lawsuit. I mean, like every 10 years, there's a new lawsuit with somebody suing to get this white gang broken up. I'm gonna play this video for y'all. Hopefully I don't get a copyright strike. But it's a video on the lawsuit with the Lunada Boys. Hold on.
What do you know about the lawsuit?
I know enough that it's stupid.
And
let me
he
start back.
briefly.
What do you know about the lawsuit?
I know enough that it's stupid.
At the right level where that was somewhere that I could handle. I was approached by two individuals. He immediately ran right up to me, shook up the can of beer, and then sprayed the beer all over my arm. I kept asking them to stop filming me, but they were saying they're filming me because I'm sexy, and I apparently turn him on. And it was just a very uncomfortable situation, and he briefly exposed himself as he was changing. And
you rock up to your average surf spot in Southern California and you paddle out. There's quite often a lot of people out there if the waves are good. There is that etiquette, and Lunada is something different. It has a different vibe. It feels like it runs by a different set of rules.
The reason there's a lot of space is because we keep it like that. We fucking hassle people. We'll burn you every single way. There's still fights down here. People just fucking duke it out. Fucking work your car and get in fights.
So many people sue each other.
As it go to court?
Yeah.
Yeah, but you have to go to fucking get a lawyer, defend it. That's gonna cost you 10 grand.
Waves like Lunada Bay are a scarce resource, but they've crossed a line. You got two dudes that poured a beer on a girl's head, screamed violently at her, exposed themselves to her, and a third guy that watched and did nothing.
the reason I decided to become part of the lawsuit is because I felt like it was the right thing to do. I didn't want anyone else to be bullied or harassed or assaulted at a public beach. It's not right.
This has been going on about 40 years. It's a generational thing now. You're seeing the young kids go out there and be the enforcers. You know, it's not the 40 or 50-year-old guys that are slashing tires, but it's them teaching their children how to do this so they don't have to anymore.
The media's put out a reputation out there, and I don't see that personally, where people are asked not to come down and go surfing down there. They say there's a gang called the Bay Boys. There are no Bay Boys. That happens in almost every beach you go to, and that's happened here.
They're pretty much grown men and little men's mindset. They don't like anyone that's not one of the Bay Boys surfing down there, but you know, it is what it is.
I'm hoping that the lawsuit is able to create public access for Lunada Bay, and it's able to make it a safe place for anyone to go to, for me to go surf, you know, anyone to go surf, and even anyone just to go to the beach. Like, it shouldn't be an area where people are scared to go.
Then you'll have a place that looks like Yosemite. I mean, when that happened a long time ago, they said, we want access for everybody to get in Yosemite. Now you have smog in there, you've got crime in there, you've got all kinds of problems.
I get that non-locals should respect the place. I think that's fine, but I don't think that you should deny them access.
So that right there is just it's talking about a lawsuit going on right now with them Lunata boys. The thing that threw me off was when I was doing some research, it's like there's a new lawsuit suing these cats like every 8 to 10 years. And it's tripping me out because when it comes to black gangs, California was a place that created something called these gang injunction laws. Basically, gang injunctions were laws that if a particular crime was committed by a member within the gang, anyone he was around before or after the commission of that crime can be swept up. Because the assumption is they probably shared what they were going to do before and you didn't stop it, or they did what they did and they came and told you and you didn't report it to the police. So because of that, we can get all you motherfuckers and put them in prison. That's how we get treated as black people. When white thugs do what they do, they get a simple lawsuit that they keep winning. It's not just the Lunata Bay boys. There are also some of these cats up in Malibu. They're all over. They're all over, honestly. But I'm just taking a picture. We're just talking about a few here of the thuggery going on in Los Angeles. 139 people in here, 67 likes. Hit that motherfucking like button, please. Thank you. This is a report done in the UK on a white gang in Malibu called Boys Will Be Boys. And they're asking why these people aren't being treated like the thugs that they are. I'll get this, let me see here. Right now, let me go to I'm gonna go to the comments and copy this, a link to this article. Hold on, let me go to the comments and put a link to this article in the comments. Where we at? There we at. Here we go. Here we go. I just put a link to this article in the comments that I'm reading from. I just put a link to this article in the comments section. There you go. And it's talking about, I'm not going to go through this whole article because this is a long fucking article. But when you read through this article, I put it in there for you guys to read through it to yourself. Because it's talking about how they knew when these gangs started forming in the 60s and the 50s. And basically, when they've killed people, when they've harmed people, these cats got all like 2 and 3 year sentences. No injunction laws. None of the treatment black gangs got. These gangs are still operating today. Lori Brown, you talking about Matrice Richardson. That was Matrice Richardson. She was found dead in Malibu. She was arrested by the Oh, shit. She was arrested by the Malibu Sheriff Department. Matrice Richardson, she was arrested by the Malibu Sheriff. They said they released her. She later on ended up dead. Because it's a lot of that thug activity going on up there in Malibu. Same in the Palisades. There are Nazi gangs in the Palisades. Hell, there's still a Nazi encampment that was around during World War II, up in Palos Verdes. I mean, not Palos, but Palisades. It's called Murphy's Ranch. Look at this. I'm gonna show y'all right now. Give me 1 second. It's called Murphy's Ranch. I'm gonna show you one more thing. 1 second. 1 second. 1 motherfucking second. One second. Here we go. Murphy's Ranch. Here we go. There's an abandoned Nazi ranch up there in the Palisades. And I hear if you go up there, you'll get turned away. This is Southern California. This is SoCal. Murphy's Ranch is located here in the Palisades. Shouts out to Palisades High School. A lot of black folks went there, including my brother and sister. And I remember my sister, when she went to Palisades, always talking about all these dirty ass thugs that went to Palisades High that lived in big ass fancy houses. She said, look, this is Murphy's Ranch. Here's Malibu. On the other side is Calabasas, where Kanye and all them, D.L. Hewley and all them rich don't want to be niggas no more live. The reason why so many people move to Calabasas because Calabasas got famous because it's occupied by people who had more money to live, who had too much money to live in the hood, but not enough money to live in Malibu. So they got Calabasas cracking about 20 years ago. That's Murphy's Ranch. And here's Lunada Bays down here. I'm so good, I know this shit by my eyeballs because I be going so much. Right over down here in this area is where you find Lunada Bay. You see? Honeymoon Call. Here's Lunada Bay right here. Here we go. I thought that was the wrong one. Lunada Bay is right here. This is where all those thugs are fighting over this little cove of land. Not too far from the Trump golf course. But I remember getting turned on by these Lunada Bay boys by a white dude that I know. I'll mention his name, Greg. He's always been one of those white folks that has told me the white secrets. You know how it is. Most white folks be denying white supremacy and shit. He's one of them white dudes who tell me every goddamn thing. And he was raised up in Palos Verdes. You know, around the same time as what's his name from the Detroit Pistons, Bill Laimbeer, back in the 80s. And he's always talked to me about the Lunada Bay boys. and the things that they do and done, and how the part of the reason why the Lunata Bay boys never get arrested or nothing happens to them is because when they grow up and become adults, half of them become police officers. Yeah. See, when you white in the game, you get to grow up and become the police. If you have any gang history and you black, you could never become a cop. You see how that works? What's up, Tasha? You're right, Five Rings. SoCal has some of the most sophisticated racism on the planet. We got to stop as black folks taking on every little label they throw to us. We are not the real thugs. We are not. We're not. They can call us thugs because we call ourselves thugs every chance we get. Always talking about, it's like with us, it seems to be a race to the bottom. You notice that? Man, I come from the streets, man. I come from the hood. 95% of black people come from the hood. And like I said, for the few that don't come from the hood directly, their parents came from the hood. There are no black legacy children running around who's been wealthy for 6 generations. No. Niggas always want to talk about dumb street shit. We ain't thugs. We're reactionary gangsters. Thanks, Getty Great. Listen to my Mixcloud last night. Oh yeah, for those who didn't, I had my on Sunday nights. Most Sunday nights, I'm doing my Incense and Ashtrays Mixcloud live music sessions. You can go to my Mixcloud right now and download the last 2 and play them in your car, especially you truck drivers. Shit. You want some good music and some good old school radio? I have a two-hour program where I DJ and I explain the music and talk about it. But I don't talk too much. The music is, the show is 90% music, 10% me talking. Kind of get in and explain what's going on and get out. So for all you people who like to just sit back and listen to something while you're driving, sign up for Mixcloud right now. Search Incense and Ashtrays or Dwann B. It's mixcloud.com/DwannB. Link is also in the description bar. And sit back and listen to some music. Old school radio style. Little talking, lots of music. No, Lambeer isn't from SoCal. Lambeer moved to SoCal in high school. And he played his high school career in Palos Verdes. But black folks, we're reactionary thugs. That's who we are. And our thugging is at the mercy and will of other groups who control the resources. Let me tell you another story. I have a neighbor, a neighbor at a family, at a house where I grew up. The guy, he lived down the street. He was former LAPD. And he used to tell me a lot of shit, a whole lot of shit. And he would talk about, because he had a motorcycle. And he would talk about how even some of the motorcycle crews associated with the LAPD, the white ones, they'd have to get clearance from the Hells Angels to go through Ventura County and Santa Barbara County. For those who don't know, those counties are just north of LA. He said because the Hells Angels, they run their drug trade through that route. He was saying what they do is how they use the route to get the drugs from Mexico to Northern California runs down Highway 101, not necessarily the 5 freeway. And your Hells Angels are basically the police of that road. They tell the police who they can and cannot arrest in that area. When the Hells Angels are done, when they get it first, and they then distribute whatever drugs it is to the Mexicans and other groups. Of course, there are no direct lines to black groups, but they distribute the shit to the Mexicans, who then distribute it to the black folks. That's how it works out here in LA. And the LAPD know it. The police know it. But what can you do when some of the people who are high up got a foot in both worlds? If you dig what I'm saying. Allegedly. I'm not making any accusations. I'm just telling the story that I heard. I heard it through the grapevine. That's called gangster. Gangster is when you can be in a straight field like politics or the police, and at the same time control underworld activities. I appreciate the Cash App, Swift. Thank you. That's gangsters. You selling drugs back to your own people that you bought from a Chinese man or a Mexican or a white person, shooting up your own community. They ain't a goddamn thing gangster about that. That's childlike behavior perpetuated by children. And I get it, because most of that stuff, 90% of that lifestyle is perpetuated by kids between the age of 13 and like 20. Most of the real gangsters start to go straight and then not be doing all that bullshit as they grow up. But when black folks started to get real gangster in the 80s, it's not because we was thugs. Niggas needed jobs. Here in SoCal, they removed all those factories. All those jobs that employed black America in the 60s and the 70s were taken in the 80s. So the new economy became drugs. That economy had always been there, but it became a necessary part of the economy when all that shit was taken out, when all those jobs were taken from us. I remember my dad always talking about how the drug game was back in the day. How back in the day, your gangsters were your gangsters and your cats on drugs, dealing drugs. They didn't conflate the two, you know what I'm saying? But when the 80s came, they started to conflate the two worlds. I remember my dad saying the streets dried up. And then the gangsters started getting the drugs. And the drug dealers had either two ways to go. They either got arrested or they went straight. And thank God for me, my daddy went straight when he had me. But there were no more jobs. So cats took to the streets, because that's what happens when a place is economically starved. Same thing that happened to white folks in the 1920s and 30s. When they talk about the roaring 20s and prohibition, same shit happened to them. When there were no jobs, they became thugs too. Only difference is black thugs only are thugs when there are no opportunities. When we have opportunities, we don't live that lifestyle. Now niggas may try to act hard around other niggas, but you ain't doing shit. When we have resources, we don't live that lifestyle. Read that report that I posted earlier. You see that in spite of how they're living economically, they still live that lifestyle. They'll already, if you live in Palos Verdes or Malibu, that means you already have generational wealth. So why do you need the thug and gang activities if you have generational wealth? We don't do that shit when we have generational wealth. Nigga, no. No. We not gangsters. We reactionary thugs. We not gangsters. We are reactionary thugs. Someone said that our community would never get back to how it was. Bullshit. We can get back. First of all, we don't want to get back to anything. We want to evolve. Because even when we had a community in the 60s, we were still under the thumb of white supremacy. Even back in the 20s, before gangs became a thing in our community, we were still under the thumb of white supremacy. We're still dealing with these issues. So we don't need to, black folks don't need to be focused on going back to anything. We need to look back and see the things that we did that worked and incorporate those things. Look back and see the things that didn't work and kick those things out and evolve into a new species of black man and black woman. That's what the history talks for. That's why I have these discussions I'm having right now. Just talking about in a whole environment, because the only way to get an accurate assessment of where you are is if you study the environment as a whole. See, black people, they tend to study us in a vacuum. They tend to study us and show us ourselves in these isolated ways. In order to get a fair assessment of where you are, you have to look at the total package and see everything in there. So when you just blindly associate black and Southern California and gangster, you get the false notion that we just some thugged out misfits who can't fit in a decent society. That's true. Deep impressions. They call us weak. We just value life. We do. We value peace and we value life. Other groups don't value peace and life the way we do. I'm gonna tell you something. Another friend that I know, who used to be a sheriff out there in not Arcadia, in the City of Industry. City of Industry is in Southern California, about 20 miles, 15 miles east of downtown LA. They said with those Asian gangs over there, the sheriff knows. They pull some Asians over and another agent comes in a Mercedes, a Lexus, something that's really expensive. The police know not to finish writing that ticket. Because if that cop steps out of line, members of these Asian gangs will come and things will happen to that cop. That's something that I heard from someone who's a former LA County sheriff. Black folks don't do shit like that. There's a big thing here in LA also that's always been a thing. They used to talk about it a lot more back in the 90s, but since they're since now they want to make Asians the new model minority, they don't talk about it as much as they used to. But these things still go on. Because they know that a lot of those Asians, the ones who own swap meet, who stores and swap meets and shit, they carry a lot of cash. They carry lots and lots and lots of cash. So here in SoCal, it's very popular. These Asians getting their homes broken into through home invasion robbery by other Asians. Because at the end of the day, people commit crimes where they live. People commit crimes where they live. And no one group has a monopoly on crime. Especially here in LA. Just look at this. I'm not going to click on the articles, but look. Home invasion. This is going back to the 90s in the LA Times. I remember I told you they talked about it more. Remember I just said they talked about it more back in the 90s? But look, this is from around the country. I mean, this is how they get down. But we the ones running around holding the blame of being the gangsters. Look at this. I'm on the third page. It's happening now in Boston. Damn. New Jersey. All over. These ain't black people going in these homes robbing these Asians, folks. Look at this. Vietnamese target other Vietnamese. Look at all these headlines, man. These shits is from this year. Crime is a proximity thing. People rob those they're associated with. You're most likely to get robbed by somebody you met before or someone who's been in your home. Niggas need to stop running around like we the only gangsters. We not. We not. We got misguided kids whose fathers run around most of the time, and their fathers weren't around because of the economic destruction that this country targeted them to have. If these other groups so great, they would have been great where they came from. And there's no disrespect to other groups. None. It's just saying, hey, look, homie. Every group deals with this bullshit. But I'm gonna stop running my mouth as much. I just wanted to point out this surfer gang issue. In the description bar, I'm gonna put some more of these links after the show's over with. I'll put some more of these links in the description bar. I'm gonna open up the phone lines for y'all. Call in and discuss. What are your thoughts? 323-744-7425. I want to hear what y'all think. I want to hear what y'all think. I want to hear what y'all think. Because when it comes to them, they know these things exist within their community. They just don't go running around claiming it to everyone else. And I respect that. You should not claim the underbelly of your... Everyone should have an understanding that, look, if you live in a thug country run by thugs who stole land, there are going to be good and bad within the society. A lot of bad, because within a bad society, people who amalgamate to that society will get that society's dirt on their clothes. So you can expect thug behavior. But you ain't gotta own it as the people, and label these people and place them as representatives of your culture. That's what you don't have to do. Gangs will always exist within this country as constructed. Thugs, drug dealers, pimps, prostitutes will always exist in this country as constructed. Always. You can wish all you want, but you ain't got to claim them. What's up, caller? What's your name? Where you calling from?
Oh, it's Taylor from Washington.
What's up, Taylor? How's it going?
Oh, it's going pretty well. So yeah, the whole thing about the surfer gang reminded me of this old trauma movie called Surf Nazis Must Die.
Oh, and I forgot to even mention the Surf Nazis. The Surf Nazis are a real gang here.
Oh, really? Okay.
I forgot. I'm glad you brought that up. But no, the Surf Nazis are a real gang.
Didn't know that.
Uh-huh.
So yeah. But yeah, I was about to say, like, you know,
I'm
like,
sorry, not Surf Riders, Nazi lowriders. I'm being dyslexic. Nazi lowriders.
Oh, okay, yeah. But I was about to say, like, instead of them saying, like, directly admitting to things, they'll just do stuff like, you know, trivialize it or put it in a movie or something like that and just hint to it.
Yep. That's what they do.
You know?
Because I hear the Nazi lowriders are the ones that control the Mexican mafia. The Mexican mafia in the jails out here, they get their orders from the Nazi lowriders.
Oh.
Uh-huh. So,
wow.
There you go, man. But thanks for calling in, brother.
Yep, thanks.
Have a good one. Yeah. Nazi and Venice Beach. See, Venice is different now because of gentrification. But Venice Beach in the 90s and before the 90s, oh my God, that was a melting pot. But I can't say melting pot. That was a salad bowl of thuggetry. Mexican gangs, and then you had the Shoreline Crips, and you had the Nazis. They were all in Venice. You go to Venice Beach, go back and watch the movie White Men Can't Dunk, and look at Venice Beach and look at all that tagging in Venice Beach and how run down and decrepit that beach looked back then. They've since cleaned it up. But Venice in the 90s, oh yeah, you walk right past the Nazi flag. Make a left on California Street off of Lincoln, shit. You might run into a shoreline crip. You might run into a Nazi. Yes, Bruce's Beach is in Southern California. I keep saying I'm gonna take a picture over there by it because it's right down the street from one of the best breakfast spots in LA, Uncle Bill's Pancake House over in Manhattan Beach. I love going there. Shit, like 15 minutes from me right now. Shit, I'm gonna hit my wife up. Hell, I might go to Uncle Bill's after I get off this air. But yeah, Bruce's Beach. And it's even, I'm gonna do another story on Bruce's Beach because people don't know. Before Bruce's Beach, in 1924, I found this story out recently. In El Segundo is the beach that's right next to Manhattan Beach. Maybe a 10-minute bike ride. I ride the bike over there a lot. A 10-minute bike ride from Bruce's Beach, which would equate to a 3-minute car drive. There was supposed to be a black Coney Island style resort where it's like an amusement park on the beach. And they got the permits in 1921 from the city to open up. But residents in the city of El Segundo, Manhattan Beach, and all those neighboring areas got together and never allowed the beachfront amusement park to open in 1921. That was 3 years before they shut down Bruce's Beach, which was about, like I said, a 3-minute drive, 10-minute bike ride from Bruce's Beach. The gang that runs that area now is just white folks. Is the city council. That's the gang that runs the area of Manhattan Beach. They city council. Man, Manhattan Beach is one of the most racist cities. And on top of that, it's very restrictive. Like, white folks don't like each other. Can we start with that? Hold on, I'm gonna turn the phone lines off real quick. Because I don't want nobody calling in when I'm saying what I'm about to say right now. White folks don't fuck with each other. Can we have that conversation? All right, let's have it. Let's have it. You learn a lot when you drive Uber. I used to drive Uber. I drove Uber for about 3 years on nights and weekends when I had my last job. My last job didn't pay shit. Damn shame you got to have a full-time job and still work nights and weekends in order to have a decent living. That's why I shut all that shit down and open my business. And I work less running my business and make way more money. But that's a side story. But back when I used to drive Uber, I used to hear a lot. And when I drove Uber, I didn't talk much. I would listen. I listened. Because white folks do have a code of silence when it comes to us. I remember I would be sitting in the car and if 2 white dudes was talking business, anytime it got to a point to where they got really deep in some of the technical aspects of business, they would generally get quiet and then change the subject. Like, oh, this nigga might be listening. Let's not talk. But the white women, on the other hand, they're less on code. Or sometimes I guess they'll get in the running of their mouth. They forget a nigga's listening. So you used to hear all kind of shit from when 2 white women was in the car talking to each other. And I remember, especially Manhattan Beach. I hated Uber in Manhattan Beach. But you know, with Uber, you get, you don't know where your next drop off is gonna be. And once you get the drop off in Manhattan Beach, you kind of stay in that pocket with white folks. And they just be so rude and mean to each other. They would talk about how one is suing another one's neighbor because that neighbor their dog keeps shitting on their grass. And so they'll do things like sue their neighbors over that. Or they'll be like, oh, I'm on the city council. And then they'll make new laws on the city council just to spite someone that they don't like that lives 2 blocks over. because of some shit that happened that's at the end in the school meeting. Like, these motherfuckers is real petty with each other. Black people don't know how petty these motherfuckers are when we ain't around. When we're not around, white folks are so petty with each other, especially in Manhattan Beach. Let me tell you the pettiest story I've ever heard driving Uber. I'm dropping these two white dudes off of Manhattan Beach. And they're in the back seat talking to each other. And they're talking about a friend of theirs or someone that they knew. And this, apparently one of the guys that they knew, he had a really big house in Manhattan Beach. It was one of the two biggest houses in Manhattan Beach. But this house was like, because Manhattan Beach has a lot of, even though it's the beach, it still has a lot of hills. Like on the East Coast, a lot of you guys' beaches is just flat. Here on the West Coast, you come out the beach directly into some hills. Manhattan Beach doesn't necessarily have like big hills like the Palisades do, not that big. But the topography does go up and down in certain parts of Manhattan Beach. So what the man said was he's talking about this particular person, talking about how big his house was. He said, "Why, if Brad or anyone on the city council really knew how big his house was, they would all come together and create an ordinance to get him out the house or make him sell off a piece of the land." Because Manhattan Beach is notorious for these nice sized houses on small plots of land. That's how petty these people are. They were so petty. They were so petty that if they understood how big a plot this man's land was on, the city and people within the city would come together and make him sell off a piece of his land because his house is too big. That's how petty these motherfuckers are. Here, this is Bruce's Beach right here. Right here is Bruce's Beach. But y'all see these houses right here. You see how these houses on these very small plots of land, and they're all 2, sometimes 3 stories. Same thing down here. Down here on the Strand. It's crazy too because Kendrick Lamar has a house down here. You know, Manhattan Beach has the most professional athletes of any city in the world per capita. Quick trivia. Like, here are the houses on the beach. This is how this, you see a lot of the construction like this on Manhattan Beach. A lot of construction like this. Kendrick Lamar lives in one of these. I know which house he lives in because I saw when he bought it. I am not going to put that man's house out there. If you can find it, more power to you. But he lives in one of these style houses right here. And that steps out onto the beach right there. That's where one of Kendrick Lamar's houses are. Again, like I said, I ain't going to show you that nigga's house. But I do know where it is. Like, you see how the construction, there's always this construction going on in these houses. But here's how the houses in Manhattan Beach generally look. This here's a typical Manhattan Beach house. Small, straight up. And you see how it goes straight up like that? This is a typical Manhattan Beach house. And then when you go into the beach, Manhattan Beach, you come and then you turn and then you am I doing? And then you, yeah. But y'all get the picture. Y'all get the picture. Y'all get the picture. But that's how these motherfuckers are with one another. That's how petty these people are. That's how petty these people are. And we as black people, we're generally unprepared for that world because we aren't that petty. We really aren't that petty. Like, look, this is, you see this house? This house for sale right here, but Kendrick's house looks a lot like this house right here. This ain't it, but it looks a lot like it. Manhattan Beach. Hell, I hadn't been there all summer. I might go to Manhattan Beach sometimes. I like riding my bike down that bike path right there. That shit fun. I love riding my bike down that bike path. I love it. But yeah, that's it. And that's like I said, this is Bruce's Beach. This is Bruce's Beach right here. And that beach I was telling you about that black people were gonna own, that was gonna be a Coney Island style beach, is right here. El Segundo Beach, right here. Where you see these buildings? This was supposed to be a black Coney Island style beach right here. And you see how far it is. Here's Bruce's Beach down here. Here's where the black beach was supposed to be. Before they built this big ass shit plant right here. This is this is the Chevron oil field right here, which the city of El Segundo pays less than 1% taxes on. They take up this whole plot of land right here refining Chevron oil, and the city gets less than $10 million a year in taxes from these people. Yes. And here's Darkwater Beach. This is LA's shit factory right here, where all the shit in LA comes right here to this plant. They built that right here because Darkwater Beach, this was always known as quote unquote ethnic beach, black beach. All the white folks in Manhattan Beach and El Segundo, they call Darkwater ethnic beach because this is where the black folks generally come to do the beach at. But the city's been on some bullshit lately, so what they've done is they turned this street right here, Vista Del Mar. There used to be parking all along this street. They X'd out all of the parking. So black folks no longer, so this area, this part of the beach right here is for the most part unoccupied. And this right here is where the Lakers owner used to live, Jerry Buss, Phil Jackson. They used to live up in here at Playa del Rey right here. Nice, big, beautiful homes right here. This is where Dr. Jerry Buss used to live, owner of the Lakers. And you got my old high school, Westchester High. Westchester Comets. Like 20 some odd niggas in the NBA out of this school. That's from right here. Westchester High School. You dig. Brief little history of LA. Brief look into LA. Near the beach. But yeah, that's what we're talking about here. LA has a long, rich history of gangs. Black people were late to the party in that history. We need to take pride in ourselves and stop claiming shit that we don't totally run. Because when it comes, thing is, look, we'll take on the moniker of gangster, but we won't take on the moniker of shit that we really do run. How about black people? We talk about solutions. Let's take on the moniker of inventors. We invent shit. We invent more shit than anybody else. Why don't we take on the label of gods of music? We are the music gods. Look at other people's cultural music. It doesn't evolve. Our music evolves every 10 years. There's a new sound. Every 10 years or less. Hell, every few years, producers in our sound get a 3-year run. You had the Teddy Riley run. You had the Lil Jon run. You got, man, look. We always inventing some new creative shit. Survivors, let's take on that. This country is throwing everything it can at us, and we still surviving. Now, damn survivors, we need to take on the title of thrivers. Because no matter what environment they put us in, we might be fucked up for a little bit, but in less than a generation, we gonna get up on our motherfucking feet and make it do what it do. We take it on. All these, we over here neglecting all of these things. You got black folks that are still scared to claim country music and rock and roll. Even though we invent it and still do it better than anybody else. But they'll willfully, pridefully take on the moniker of thug. Right, say 5 builders. We're trendsetters. That's right. Lowry Brown, we're trendsetters. Bloodsport, yeah. These are all things that we are that we ignore. That's how we have some cultural pride. Our cultural pride is lagging because we take on things that aren't culturally relevant to us, culturally honest, culturally created by us. I'm not saying there weren't great black gangsters out there. There were. Because anytime we get into something, we gonna be great at it. There's been plenty of great black gangsters individually. But systematically, that's not who we are. That's not who we are. You're right, Ghost Eddie. We master masons. You're right, Star. We are the moral compass of the world. You're right. Nothing better than 70s and 80s black music. Check out my Mixcloud account where I DJ my live music sets. I had my Sunday night slowdown last night. I had my Sunday night Quiet Storm mix with laid back, relaxing music. Brief explanation of the music from me. But like I said, 90-10. Probably 92-8. 92% music, 8% me running my mouth. Listen to it on Mixcloud. I do it for the truckers. I do it for the people on the road. I'm not a trucker, man, but my dad was, and I like driving that road. And the truckers are the people who undergird our economy. See, I'm the kind of person, even though your favorite basketball player recognizes me by face. But that don't mean anything because basketball at the end of the day don't mean shit. Our truckers, and to me, mean more than any basketball player. And I love my Lakers. But I can go without watching the game. I can't go without the toilet paper our truckers bring us from other sides of the country. Can't go without the gas our truckers bring us to our local gas stations. Can't go without the things our truckers transport on a day-to-day basis. So my love, my reverence goes out to the truckers out there. Because they're the ones who really make it, our economy, as convenient as it is. We got to love the right people in our society. You know what I mean? We got to teach the children who the real heroes are. That man driving that 18-wheeler, that's your hero. It's good to like LeBron James. It's good to like Kevin Durant. But your life can do without them. You can't do without that airplane pilot that flew that medicine across country that was later picked up by a trucker and then transported by a train engineer. These are the people that we got to love and show respect for. Shouts out to the third shift nurses. All of the nurses, really. Salute to the nurses. Go watch this last episode of Craig Facts that we did this past, I think it was Tuesday's episode of Craig. No, it was Thursday's episode of Craig Facts. We had a woman on who has her own business, who's a former nurse. And she talked about how to leave nursing and get your own business as a care advocate. In-home care. How to get that. For all you nurses out there trying to get away from the hospital, go watch our last episode of Craig Facts. We have a woman on teaching you how to get out of nursing, how to use your nursing to open up your own business, taking care of people. So Leah, salute to your post office workers. Salute to your garbage truck collectors. These are the people our society, our children need to be looking up to. Because only 0.001% are going to make the NBA. If they want to become a trucker, they can do that. And if they do their trucking business right, they'll make more money over a lifetime than they would if they made the NBA. That's facts. When it comes to those big old Steph Curry contracts, $200 million deals, less than 15 people in the league at any one time are going to get one of those major deals. Less than 15. Less than 5% of the league. The way the NBA's contract structure works is literally made so less than 10% of the league is even eligible for those supermax contracts. Less than 5%. Most likely, even if you do make the NBA, you'll make a good $30 or $40 million. But then you're going to retire at the age of 32. And when you get that $30 million, you didn't get $30 million out front. You got to pay to you every 2 weeks. So that taxes got taken out. That's why most basketball players end up broke. Teach these kids trucking, nursing, the real jobs that undergird our economy, they will be fine. And another thing deeper than that, they won't aspire to be thugs. I didn't say nothing about going to college. But if you get these kids these training in the teen years, if you, at their young age, when they're really young, show them how this economy really works, talk to them, not at them, you're raising future business owners, not thugs. We aspire as people to be thugs because it's ingrained in the music, partially. I'll never forget when Tupac dropped here in LA. I was at Westchester High, Overripe Middle School. You had niggas who had two parents living in Ladera Heights in a 9,000 square foot bedroom home, 9,000 square foot home with 6 bedrooms, claiming thug. Then you turn on the basketball game, somebody hits a 3-pointer, what are they doing? Throwing up bloods. Social engineering. We got to take that narrative back as a people. You tell your kids to be something like that, like an entertainer or an athlete, that's damn near impossible to be successful in those fields. But we get back to using our hands and using our minds and correctly labeling ourselves the inventors that we are, the trendsetters that we are, we can solve our own problems. You dig what I'm saying? But I'm about to get up out of here. I got a long ass day today. Watch Craig Facts tomorrow. We're gonna be talking some shit. My name is Dwann B, and remember this: there are no perfect messengers, only perfect messages for those who are willing to pick up the game. We out.